that I was quite happy to do for nothing. And so I used to go to a little drama group in the church hall after work.
Yeah.
So, my mates were down the pub. I was in the pigeon-infested church hall in Notting Hill.
Now, am I right in saying that your first role on camera, though, was well before then? Because, was it while you were at school, is that right?
It was indeed. I just so happened to be walking down the road with a kid that I grew up with in Notting Hill, and there was one of the local community workers was showing this director around Notting Hill because he was going to shoot this crime prevention film, which they called in them days, where it told the story of 7 delinquents who meet their sort of grisly end. Grisly end in those days was kind of maybe going to Borstal, but yeah, it told that story. And I was in the right place at the right time. The 2 of us kids, he said, because he was making it with non-actors. Just
right, okay.
Yeah. So, and I just ended up in this film that was made for Scotland Yard called 7 Green Bottles. It's online.
Oh,
you can go and watch it. So, yeah, my voice is like this. It's weird. And then I look exactly like my son. It's just really too weird to watch it.
Do you go back and watch your old stuff at all, or?
No, I mean, I've got so much of it on VHS and stuff, you see.
Yeah.
But it's not something you kind of just, it's like getting out of your bed, going into the garage and looking over your bike. It just, you know what it looks like.
Yeah.
Leave it alone. Yeah. But it's just that thing in it. Yeah, he's still there. Oops.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the equivalent of an actor watching his stuff back, going down and checking the bike in the garage, see if it's still there.
You know where it is.
You know
what it looks like.
It's still shiny. But that was, to me, even at that point, that didn't feel like success. Because I was at school, I had to go back to school when you know what I mean? It was so, I didn't think, oh my God, this is great. I want to be in show business. I was just lucky enough to have that. And ironically, looking back at it now, it sounds really good on my behalf, because on your CV, when it says, oh, your first job was in 1974, everyone goes, what?
Yeah.
Well, in fact, my first real professional job was in 1979.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what was that?
I was a dancer in a troupe called The Second Generation, who used to do all the seaside shows and the summer seasons. And
that's what I thought it started with, was dancing, wasn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. And again, but that was still all learnt in the same, pigeon-infested church hall in Notting Hill. That's where I first did dance classes,
Yeah. It
wasn't in a dance school as such, but it was just this guy used to get all different kinds of teachers in. So you might have Cleo Lane turned up. She was one of the patrons. I mean, how'd you get Cleo Lane and Johnny Dankworth to be patrons of this little ramshackle theatre group? And Lady Astor. It's madness.
Yeah.
But that's what happened. And Lady Astor was a magistrate at Marylebone Magistrates Court, and my mum was a court usher there. So she actually used to speak to her, like, on that level. How's he doing? Because then, of course, when Red Dwarf hit the screen, she couldn't believe her eyes, could she?
Because what about you two? How did you two? Because I've known you guys for, well, I'd say ever since I was tiny, but I haven't really grown much.
Well, I mean, for me, I just sort of, I don't know who actually introduced us, but I remember it was, was it at the bike show?
No. Well, with Tristan.
No, as in, how did you guys?
Yeah, and I was going to. But we met, if you remember, at MotoGP. Initially in Alpine Stars Hospitality. And it was that shared love of motorcycling. I found myself there quite often, and this guy used to keep popping up, and he was always. I tell you where we always found him. He was at the buffet. Yeah. Wherever the steak was, he was at the buffet, and we kind of met. Our eyes caught each other across a buffet.
And what a buffet!
And he got. I didn't know this, but behind the scenes, someone was saying to him, I know what you've got planned, and you want a pink motorcycle. And he said, what you need to do is go and speak to Steve, pointing at me. And then I kept seeing him at the buffet, and of course he's smiling at me, and I'm thinking, this guy likes me. Yeah. But actually what it was is he had in his mind this pink R1. And if you remember,
That's where it all started. I mean, from your perspective, tell that story of the pink R1s, because they don't make sense to a lot of people. To us, it makes sense, and to Danny, it makes sense.
Yeah. Well, originally, the pink R1 came about because a lot of people, obviously, when they used to refer to me as the Catman or Catman. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it just, obviously, it sounds like Batman. You know, they're pretty kind of similar characters, you know.
Yeah.
And like dressing up, and sort of, and then the Bat bike happened. Remember?
Yes.
Right. And I thought cat bike, and then the cat. He was renowned for that pink zoot suit.
Yeah.
Cat bike. So of course it would be pink, and that's how it started. I was rabbiting on for years about it, and then one day it actually happened. It was weird because I was telling Steve about it. Because someone pointed me out, and no, I mean, I think the next time we saw each other was at the bike show, and by that time, I was the next time I saw him, I was being measured for the pink leathers. So the first time I saw him, it was talk about the bike, which he then proceeded to go and organise, and then the next time I saw him, we'd been guided over to someone, hadn't we?
Yeah, but there was a lot of hounding went on in between. If you remember, you were stalking me on the telephone saying, look, you are the guy. Have I got the right guy that's going to produce a pink bike? You're talking about success. Level of success for Danny was how many pink bikes you could get. So you started off at one, didn't you?
Yeah.
And then where did we end up?
Then we ended up, the next bike was, because everyone would say, what's that print on it? And it everyone thinks it's leopard, because obviously as soon as you say print, you think of leopard,
yeah.
Right? So because it's similar to leopard, but it's actually Jaguar print.
Yeah.
So because the Jaguar E-type is what? The cat.
Right.
So he would have a Jaguar, wouldn't he? He'd have a E-type, and he'd have a bike. So that was what the next project was going to do. We were going to do a pink E-type.
I was going to ask where the printing actually came from, because I'm certain, as it actually popped up on Facebook the other day on my memories, of the one of the first bespoke coffee machines we did, which was for you,
exactly, the pink one.
And that's what I was going to ask.
That's the same print.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Jaguar print. So it's basically Jaguar print in pink.
Because the one that comes up is you in your costume for.
If you look closely, actually, on the Jaguar print one, it's actually 3 different colours of pink, because
the shading
of the actual print itself is 3 different pinks, whereas the first bike is just, well, I could tell you exactly how the colour came about, the exact pink colour, because when we went to get the leathers measured, the guy who was measuring us, he says, what colour do you want to? I said, pink. And he went, pink. I said, yeah, but what pink? And I went, Hello Kitty pink. Why not? What was the most popular pink? Hello Kitty, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I said Hello Kitty pink, and he went, I know exactly what you mean. Every parent knows Hello Kitty. So he went, I know exactly what you mean. And he did get out a swathe of pink, didn't he? And it was literally Hello Kitty pink. And then he made them in that pink. See, the madness in motorcycling that you never hear about.
Yeah.
See?
That's it, and then the rest is history.
Well, it was interesting where it actually led to. So we had those 2 pink bikes, and we decided for charity we'd do a ride down to Valencia, which was a great idea. And I'll tell you what, if you want to go on a lad's ride, that's the sort of thing to do. What I didn't know, after Dan said we'll have 2 bikes, we'll have 2 sets of leathers, helmets, everything, and we got all of that. He said, we're riding down. I thought, cracking, what a great time. Then he turns around and said, but what we ought to do is film it. Film it? I'm just some bloke who rides around on bikes and sells them for a living and so on and so forth. And he said, no, we'll film it. And I said, okay, fine. I said, but who are we going to get to organise that and do it and produce it? And he just looked at me like that. And I said, well, who? And he's still looking at me. And I went, you're having a laugh, aren't you? And he said, no, you can do that. Literally got no idea what I'm doing. And the next thing, we're producing a TV show together, which went on to become the Easy Riders TV show, of which we've now done 28 episodes, gone out in various places, now available on Amazon Prime for anyone that wants to watch it. And here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. It's one of those shows that catches you out. In the middle of nowhere, people will come up to you and say, I've watched that TV show. Where were we last weekend, Dan?
Goodwood.
And what did that guy say?
Yeah. You said, I've just seen it on telly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's mad. Yeah, and the funny thing, that there was absolutely loads of motorbike shows going on anyway, but there was not any like ours.
Yeah.
And because everything that happened actually was absolutely spontaneous. There was no script. We're going from there to there.
Yeah.
And we got cameras. That's how it was made.
And we rode every single
And
mile
we
of it ourselves.
we rode every mile. We didn't have loads of spare bikes or spare this or nothing.
Yeah, you're not getting a plane to the next
No, we did ride it.
Which one do you think was the most hardcore? For you, anyway.
Oh God, the coldest one. What was the coldest one again? It was the 5 Peak. No, it wasn't. It was It was Viva Valencia going up that mountain. Viva Valencia going up that mountain with George. Yeah. Remember, and I told when it got cold and I was laughing at George, I said, "Yeah, you're laughing now, ain't you? I bet you wish you was in front of that fire now, yeah." Because I get cold very quickly, so everywhere we go, I light a fire.
Oh, really? I
do, yeah. And I got absolutely soaking wet because I was riding a horse in my motorbike gear and crash helmet.
Hang on, take that back a step, because we've suddenly gone from riding motorbikes, and it was 125s. So we did a thing called Challenge 125. So we had to ride from London. No, it wasn't London. Where did we ride from? Goring by Sea, my home.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Goring. From
where I live, right the way down to Valencia on a 125cc with 125 quid. And that had to include ferry crossings, accommodation, food, everything. Anyway, so we couldn't really afford much other than a tent. So we're staying in a tent at night. So we get up one morning and this woman's invited us, bizarrely, to go and ride horses at her stables round the corner.
At a local community dance the night before.
Yeah, but I'm trying to cover up the dance because I remember what happened then. Yeah. We'll come back to the dance. Anyway, we get there and we're supposed to be just having a look at the horses. The next thing, Danny's on it. But any normal person would take their motorcycle gear off. But come on, explain how you were dressed.
I just basically had all the gear on, the jacket and everything, plus the bright lime. Was it lime? Wasn't it lime coloured? Fluorescent Alpine Stars weather oversuit on, and crash helmet.
But as you said, every normal person would take that off.
So anyway, I'm riding around, and it's because a little bit of show. They put a little fence up, little beginner's cross fence. So every time he took the fourth step, he farted. It was unbelievable. He's just and then he'd jump and I said, was it me? I said, it's just got flatulence, this guy. Anyway, one of the farts went a little bit too heavy, right? And off I went. Bam! Yeah, it's on film. You can watch it on film. One fart too many, I called it. Yep, and boof, off I went. It was the madness. You got to watch it to believe it.
Yeah. I have never laughed so hard.
Oh, God. I was laughing and it wasn't even funny for me.
Because did you use the... if my memory serves me correctly, used the Death in Paradise bike for one of them.
In one of them, yeah.
Yeah.
In the Caribbean. So, yeah, we went over and filmed something for Prostate Cancer UK. And it was just before we were going to go over. That's when the hurricane hit Dominica.
Yep.
And so we're on the phone. This is all on film as well. We're on the phone to the High Commissioner in London saying, she goes, mate, there's nothing, there's no emails, there's no phone, there's nothing. We can't get any support to you over there.
No running water,
nothing. 75% of the island was devastated. And we now have this, crisis meeting? Because it's a serious hurricane, yeah? And out of the how many crew was it? We had 6 crew.
Yeah.
And it was pretty much a vote of, do we go or don't we go? And it was the most tense.
It was contentious.
It was contentious because it was people were feeling that they didn't want to go, but didn't want to be the ones to let the film down. And it was that real quietly kind of intense kind of conversation that wasn't really a conversation.
Well, in fact, if you actually remember, when you're saying quietly contentious and all the rest of it, it was quite heated, because we'd been told, for health and safety reasons, under no circumstances should we step foot on that island, and that if we did, it was under our own steam and our own risk, and they weren't going to come and help us. So no electricity, no running water,
no support from the commissioner,
which is what we'd been told we would get. But obviously everything had changed.
It's not that they didn't want to. It's just it wasn't there.
No.
Yeah.
And then in the end, we ended up, the two of us, a sound man and one cameraman came with us. And it was total devastation when we got there. It was very humbling, wasn't it?
Oh, God,
but it's one of those things.
When you see bridges missing and shit.
Yeah.
And houses missing.
No, but as you come in on the ferry, all the trees were just black, and do you remember there was smoke coming off of them? We don't know where was it on fire? We don't know where.
There was a lot of fires.
Yeah, it was just trees were smoking black. Everything was black. All the foliage. It was absolute, mate. We went down a street that was full of trees. I mean, and I don't mean a little. I mean, you can imagine down Oxford Street with it piled high with trees.
Where they're blown over,
and they're just all blown into one. I mean, it's just a sea of trees just in the middle of the street. And then what happened, right? Because the government wouldn't move the trees, there was nothing going on like that. So the local villagers, they just started burning them, and then the fire engines would come and put them out. And then they'd burn them again. They want the street cleared. So they're just burning trees. And then the government would come and put them out. It was all madness, wasn't it? I mean, all of that you can see on the film. You can see that, you literally see a sea of trees just down the road.
So this brings me on to my next part, is when you have issues like this, one, what keeps you, because it can be a bit set back, or sometimes things can be a bit demotivating, is how do you keep that motivation and just keep persevering?
Mate, it was just what people do, because he can tell you, we're walking down the middle of the street in Dominica and we bump into my mate and his son, shirts off, working with the locals. Remember?
And they'd come over from London.
But they just so happened to be there.
Yeah.
And there they were. And all this is on camera.
So they're just literally getting stuck in.
And his mum in Dominica, right where we were, lives 2 doors down from my uncle. And there we were, and there he was there. And it's all on film, trust me.
Wow.
He's from London, lives up the road from me. Yeah. And there he was in Dominica, bare top with his son, helping the locals out.
But we had two options, didn't we? We could either sit in our lovely, comfortable villa in Guadeloupe and go, oh, never mind, I know we said we were going to go over to Dominica, but the going's got tough. Or you stand by what you said you were going to do and turn the story round from being two guys riding motorcycles around Dominica to, we're there, how do we make a difference?
Yeah.
And that's what we decided to do. So we packed up as much as we could. So took over food, water, tents, everything that we could then leave behind to help everybody.
As you said earlier, that's sometimes the best thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is when it isn't scripted. It's literally, let's just do it.
Yeah.
See what happens.
We ended up at the High Commission, didn't we, in Dominica? High Commission. We went up and had tea with the High Commissioner and of Dominica and of St. Lucia.
This is when we're back in
London.
London.
When we're back in London, yeah. But we did bump into the Prime Minister when we were there. Literally walking across from his quarters to go and do his radio broadcast.
Oh, really?
Yep. We got one photo, didn't we, through the window? Just coincidentally, we weren't even going to meet him. I just went. Remember, we had a Dominican in the back, and I said, "There's the president," and he went, "No, there's the president," and then it was the president. He follows me on Twitter. Yeah. And funny enough, talking about presidents, I actually had dinner with the prime. That was the Prime Minister. I actually had dinner with the president when he was here for the coronation.
Oh, really?
Of Dominica. Yeah. See, that's what happens when you do heroic shit. You get to meet the president and the Prime Minister and the commissioner.
That just makes it what it is.
Yeah.
It's true.
Sometimes you
And
gotta
funny
adapt.
enough, and because of them shows.
No, this is. He's going to tell you.
In
something.
fact, Steve.
No. I'm going to set it up, but you're going to deliver it. But this is something that nobody knows. Something that we're really quite proud of.
Yeah.
I say quite. We're very proud of it, aren't we? We've just been sent an invitation that you'd never think that two numpties that ride around on motorcycles in pink leathers would ever have. And it is because of the TV show. Am I right in saying it's got nothing to do with Red Dwarf?
Yeah, everyone would think, having Red Dwarf and Death in Paradise, these shows all over the world, and then all of a sudden we get invited to the House of Lords because of our motorbike show.
That's amazing.
Yeah. We are going to the House of Lords to meet who?
Lord Grade, who was the controller of BBC Two when we did Red Dwarf on BBC Two.
And
his father was, Lou Grade, Lord Lou Grade, who ran the BBC.
So this is, again, just goes back to success, isn't it? Because some people's success is just getting up in the morning.
Yeah.
And now you go into the House of Lords.
Doing something we just laugh, taking a piss.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
And as you said, it's something that you would do for free.
Because everyone took it so seriously, whereas we just had a laugh.
Yeah.
There you go.
No, that's amazing.
There's a good rule of laugh. Enjoy everything you're doing,
Yes.
mate. That's it.
And if you don't enjoy it, it's not worth doing.
Look, I've got to get this story in before, because I know we're tight-ish on time, and I know you've got another couple. I've got to get this story in before, because I know we're tight-ish on time, and I know you've got another couple of stories. But other measures of success for Danny, and we were talking about it earlier, remembering names. Now, I don't know if you remember, not long ago, I've just called you Tristan, but I'm not sure if I should call you Justin or Tristan.
Yeah, which one is it?
Am I right? Because some of us get a little bit mixed up with names, don't they, Dan?
Yeah, I do. What is it?
Don't you remember what you did?
What did I do? I called
It was
you.
wasn't it for my 21st?
Did.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did a video especially for your 21st birthday.
And I called him something else.
You called him Justin the whole way through the video.
Yeah.
A 5-minute video, and it wasn't just like Justin at the beginning, it was all the way through.
Yeah, but that was probably your dad's script. But how did I get it wrong?
Oh, we all asked that as well.
How did I get it wrong?
It wasn't even, we couldn't even just
Do you know
cut
what
out
the
the
worst
beginning,
thing
the
about
whole
no,
entire...
Do you know what the worst thing about it was? I thought Chris only had one son. I thought, how can I get it wrong?
But then you knew there was two, and
Then I found out there was two of you.
Yeah, and then now there's three. Owen, Tristan,
And Justin.
Holy mackerel! Oh, good. See, I can't keep up. I can't. I'm always the last to the
So
party.
basically, I'm going to have a kid and call it Justin, then I can use the video for that
You
when he's
can do that.
21st.
Yeah.
Well, the funny thing is, my good mate's son's called Justin. It's a name that's in my head forever.
Yeah.
Glenn's son's called Justin.
Yeah.
So it's a name that I'm au fait with.
It's just in.
It's just got in, yeah. It's